Jealousy is a ravenous, green-eyed monster with sharp, pointy teeth and a really bad attitude. It makes us do selfish, irrational, and even crazy things. Anyone who comes from a big family can tell you that sibling rivalry is a common source of conflict that needs careful and consistent management. Children often accuse their parents of preferring one child over another. You've always liked Sarah better than me. You don't understand me. Jacob always gets whatever he wants. Why do you always pick on me? You are so unfair. If you have a brother or sister, you've probably heard or said things like this before. You may have also experienced it at work. Why does everyone seem to get promoted ahead of me? Why does my boss never appreciate all my hard work and the long hours that I labor? Perhaps your question is more fundamental. Why does so-and-so always seem to coast through life and get ahead, while I always struggle? And yes, even at St. Helena's, I know that we have all felt at one time or another that the Anglo members or the Hispanic members have got more attention, time, resources, or visibility. It's not fair. What are we, chopped liver? No, it's true. We come away from these encounters feeling unappreciated and unloved, disregarded and disrespected. It's human nature to feel that way on occasion. So this morning, let's talk about how we deal with those feelings of jealousy when they come up. Now, as I read the readings for this week, I thought I could preach an hour on any one of these. And there are so many connections between them, and I will allow you to connect the dots for yourself so that I have to preach for 3 hours. So I'm going to focus on the Genesis story. Yes, I knew you'd appreciate it. I'm going to focus on the Joseph story in Genesis. In the book of Genesis, Joseph has to contend with the rampant jealousy of his brothers, who resent their father's preference for him. The story of Joseph comprises about the final third of the book of Genesis, which also includes the creation narratives and the stories of Israel's matriarchs and patriarchs: Sarah, Hagar, and Abraham, Rebekah and Isaac, Leah, Rachel, and Jacob, who is also known as Israel. The Bible reveals that Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other children because he was the son of his old age, and he had made him a robe with sleeves. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. To make matters even worse, Joseph tells his family about 2 dreams that prophesy that one day Joseph will be greater than his brothers, will all bow before him. Now, even though these prophecies do turn out to be true, it would have been better for Joseph to just keep that knowledge to himself. Instead, as siblings do, he boasts of his future greatness, and his brother's resentment grows. At first, they plan to kill him, but they eventually decide to throw him into a pit and sell him into slavery instead. Now, I had a pretty difficult sister growing up, but I don't think she ever contemplated anything like that. Their plan, however, is undone when some passing traders find Joseph in the pit and sell him to slavers who take him to Egypt, where he rises to become Pharaoh's governor, a very, very powerful man. After many adventures which happen in the midst of a terrible famine at home in Canaan, Joseph is finally reunited with his brothers in Egypt, although at first incognito. And he ends up forgiving them for their jealousy and treachery. The Bible says that Joseph kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. As you've heard me say many times, one of the problems of reading only a small portion of a story, such as the Joseph story, is that we can't appreciate the depth of the teaching. The Joseph story is an expose of many human failings. In one episode, for example, Joseph is falsely accused of sleeping with his master Potiphar's wife, who seeks revenge after Joseph spurns her amorous advances. Joseph's life is in danger because of her hurt pride, and at other points because of the jealousy of many Egyptians who resent Joseph's power and success. We also learn how the devious Joseph frames his brothers for theft when they come to Egypt seeking relief from the famine in Canaan. Joseph's trickery is not wanton and vindictive, though. It is meant to create a situation that will allow him to teach them an important moral lesson by showing them mercy and sparing them a terrible death. In this way, Joseph is teaching his brothers the importance of mercy and forgiveness, and you can hear the resonances with our gospel reading. In learning how terrifyingly vulnerable it is to hold each other's fates in our hands, Joseph and his brothers learn empathy for each other and are reconciled. In the beginning of the story, Joseph could have been more sensitive to the hurt and resentment that Israel's preference for him caused his brothers, and responded with empathy and compassion, instead of the pompous boasting which ends up putting Israel in danger. Having been the recipient of Joseph's mercy, his brothers are now able to forgive past grievances and fashion a new, more loving relationship with Joseph. The teaching for us is that it is a dangerous impulse. Though natural, it is a dangerous impulse to begrudge people their good fortune, or to wish bad fortune upon those whom we think deserve it. Jealousy hurts people on both sides of the emotion. Jealousy can make us cruel, self-righteous, and petty. Jealousy encourages us to make false assumptions about each other's intentions, worthiness, and characters that lead us to hurtful behavior. We do not know what deprivations and struggles people may have endured. Many of us have spent time trapped in a pit only to be liberated into an even worse situation, like Joseph. We cannot know a person's full story from outward appearances. We may, in fact, be jealous of an illusion. Jealousy, moreover, blinds us to whatever blessings we may possess. It prevents us from feeling gratitude. It makes us think that because others have more, we must have nothing. It makes us think that because others are doing well, we must be doing badly. Life isn't fair. That is true. We all know that. Sometimes the wicked flourish, and the righteous suffer. It wasn't fair that Israel loved Joseph too much, and his other sons not enough. But as Joseph's story shows, jealousy is toxic to the soul. It only leads to resentment, hate, and violence. The Catechism in the Book of Common Prayer, which we are studying in preparation for confirmation, says that our duty is to resist temptations to envy, greed, and jealousy, to rejoice in other people's gifts and graces, and to do our duty for the love of God, who has called us into fellowship with him. That is the 8th commandment of the Decalogue, that whole thou shalt not covet stuff. Working from the theology of abundance rather than the theology of scarcity shields us from the debilitating lie that we will never have enough. And that's one of the downfalls of our current consumerist society, that we think we never have enough, no matter how much we have. If we believe that enough has to come from outside, from other people, from their approval or possessions or status or wealth, then we will always fail to see the abundance within ourselves and the abundance of God's gift. If all we see is poverty and brokenness and deprivation when we look in the mirror, then we will never liberate ourselves from the pit. Amen.